Setting. This is a Galactic Shaman on a Reiki journey. This will be day 7, but day 6 of my self Reiki. And I have the affirmation of I am reminded of my divinity. I took notes about most of my day. I woke up at 7:30, did my kitchen magic, prepped breakfast. It was bacon in the oven and hash browns in the air fryer. We also tried new bacon. I like finding the nitrate-free bacon, and it was awesome. It was pretty good, but it wasn't as thick as the other one that I have found, but it's good. Then, let's see here. Misted the snake tanks, watered the plants or spritzed them, fed the boys their chicken drummies. Happy that they have their raw chicken now, so the bones can clean their teeth. Woke up Miss Breeze. We spoke about haircuts this weekend. We're not going to get haircuts and didn't get haircuts today just because we wanted to keep it very flowy and open for the rest of the day. 8 o'clock, I began the eggs. There wasn't any butter, so that needed to go on the list, but I did use olive oil. I raised the heat, so instead of them being nice omelets, it was more I had to dice them up into scrambled eggs. I'm avoiding dairy unless it's raw cheese. That is more of Elam's, my partner's side. He knows more about that, so I'm on the side of dairy that has probiotics and healthy cultures isn't taken apart and replaced with chemicals. So everybody else got mozzarella on their eggs. I did not. Miss Breeze, while we were grocery shopping, grabbed sriracha and mayo mix. Okay, looking at it immediately brought me to my first job, which was Nong. It was a Vietnamese bistro I used to host at, and each table had a sriracha bottle. It was really beautiful because I know during that time I was a teenage mother. I got my GED at 16 and started college at 18, and also had multiple jobs, just a lot going on. And back then I didn't feel like I was doing enough, and now that I put myself in that perspective, it's like, wow, I was doing amazing in that situation, and I am so proud of myself. So it's nice to get little reminders like that throughout the day. 8:30, cleaned up the home. Elam swept. I was just keeping up everything and making sure it was moving smoothly. Let's see here. Sunset, showered. Breeze was doing her makeup. I also just mentioned how I love our downstairs. Right now I'm in the downstairs office, but the lighting, I really enjoy the lighting because there's different types of lighting, and we have this large mirror that's perfect for doing your makeup. So it was just nice to see her down here. I did Sunset's hair into 2 fishtail braids. I was also puppy prepping with Elam, so they're really good at home. They are not kenneled while they are left home alone. But I do like to make sure they're out of certain rooms because they like to suck on blankets and be a little too friendly to toys where they're not shredding them, but they're taking the eyeball off or something, because we have one that likes to just suck on something and another that just wants to like hold on to it to the point of it gets yucky. And then just making sure anything that they could get into, they don't. Let's see here. Elam also was getting the bath ready for me, which I was so appreciative of. I also added rose Epsom salt from yesterday's healing that mentioned me needing to use rose more. So that was awesome. I was happy to get rose petals with Epsom salt. I ate breakfast with everyone. I will say it did make me feel a bit sluggish. But I didn't have a hefty lunch. I noticed I was really craving coffee, but we don't have coffee in the home. So we actually planned on our way to the volleyball tournament of my oldest to stop at Scooters. One, impressed with the pricing. Two, I didn't get a coffee. I actually got a matcha in coconut milk with strawberry cold foam. Strawberry is always going to be connected to my inner child, and always having strawberry milk when I was little. But it tasted just as if I had made it at home, and it was perfect. It wasn't sweet. It still had that bitterness of the matcha, so I really enjoyed that. So, 9 a.m., I posted all of the Friday forecasts for the month of May, which made me really happy because we were able to get the podcast up and going for May, because it is a cycle. I have 6 hours of recording time, and I plan out the channelings, the Friday forecasts, and the wellness warriors, and then if there's any time, it usually rolls over. Let's see here. After that, I opened up Circle. After opening up Circle, the drum trance dancing just really came with me, and I noticed my animal spirit guides were just really having fun with me, and I could feel my ancestors around me, so that was beautiful. Also, hummingbird, instead of coming out of my heart, it came out of my throat. And this was an affirmation because I have been planning on having hummingbird spirit on my throat as a tattoo. That was just I know Spirit was going to let me know when I'm ready to get it, and that was a huge indicator of actually seeing it come to life in the astral realm for me to begin physically planning to get it. Then after that, I recited the Reiki principles and affirmations while doing the chakra hand positions. Jaguar came. Also, Macaw spirit came, and he had its feathers, like very large feathers, but it was over my third eye. I thought that was very unique. I felt very blessed in that moment. It felt... Best way I can describe it is it felt, I was raised Catholic, and it felt like a baptism, but by a macaw. Okay, 7:30. 7:30 p.m. is when I did my Reiki thought of the day, but prior to that, we were on time, and this is something that, was beautiful. We had enough time to go to the crystal shop, and this week is the crystal shop owner's birthday, so she had 40% off of everything, and I got these earrings. They're rainbow tourmaline and black obsidian, and immediately I fell in love with a rainbow tourmaline bracelet, and it was calling to me, but it was strange because it was like, you need to come here, but you're not getting that. And I knew the next thing I was called to get. It's these fairy crosses. So there's a theme today. 1, birthdays. My Reiki teacher it's her birthday today. So said happy birthday. My youngest sister, it's her birthday today. So said happy birthday. Sent her a cute little emoji thing. She is the age of my oldest. Then going to the crystal shop knowing that it's the owner's birthday and she was giving in honor of her birthday this percentage off. And then I was called to get one of those fairy crosses for one of my clients that I'm seeing tomorrow because it's going to be their birthday coming up. So very Taurian vibrations and appreciations. Notice that. Then notice these popped up and I knew I was going to get rainbow tourmaline. I just anticipated on getting the bracelet, but instead I got these. These I know help me throughout today because I feel as though when I go to these tournaments, there's a few things, few triggers. At the tournament, my oldest was sat out for a lot of the time, but she got to use her throat chakra and she was like, hey, can I set? And she did, which kudos. I'm so happy she spoke up for herself and she did the thing. But that was a minor irritation. Another thing that really enveloped in front of me was one of the players' anger got a hold of her, and it made me appreciate my relationship with my children. She flipped off her mother and then resumed to kicking things. So that was interesting, and it just showed me what I can be grateful for. And also I'm not one to judge a child, even up until they turn 18. They're a child from then on. So I'm really looking at the parental guidance that child is being influenced under. And it's very interesting to see the dynamics of parent to child. So it just gave me a better perspective. The next thing was so appreciative. There was time in between the games. It was a long day. But there was a beautiful park that we were able to play at. Our youngest and I were able to play at and make some memories, so that was wonderful. Another thing was a correlation with lily pads. Lily pads came up today a lot in coloring, in pictures, like they just kept coming up. What was the other thing? Oh, so I typically remain off of my phone unless it's checking on social media to respond to the business page. But I did scroll. Oh, I scrolled. And I did have to unfollow a lot of accounts. There was a deep sadness because of RFK Jr.'s speech about autism, and I am not hating or disliking him specifically. I don't think that is lucrative or has any substance, because I also know how politics works, and typically there is a mask or a person to point a finger at and blame, and I know he is not the one to blame. But there is a sense in that speech, whomever created that speech to cause a division of people, that unfortunately there's been a lot of accounts I've had to unfollow for my own emotional, mental, and physical health, because there is this strange sense that something that is neurological, because autism is neurological, it's genetic, that we can prevent it. And that we would want to prevent it. And they're wondering why so many people are now being diagnosed, and late diagnostics, and the consideration isn't being viewed that a lot of people would mask. A lot of people were not the typical young Caucasian male, because that is the main group and sex and culture that was tested on for autism. And they also, it's only been 10 years, so rather new discovery that ADHD and autism coexist. So if you predominantly showed ADHD, they ruled you out for autism. Now they're understanding they actually share genetics. So of course there is going to be a rise, because now we have better technology and testing to actually correctly diagnose people that have always had it. So coming across a lot of people that are using this to separate others and devalue other human beings' existence was irritating. But I was able to handle it well. Past me would have wanted to confront it. Past me would have rage wrote. Past me correlated courage with rage. It was like a combination. Present me unfollowed, because I'm also very aware that when someone has their own opinion like that, it's similar to religion. It's a belief. And when someone believes in something and has faith in something, there isn't anything you could tell them to change their belief. They must experience a moment that they change their belief. So when that finally clicked in for me, I'm like, okay, it's time to be in the present moment. I'm having fun. That was something to be aware about, and now I understand how to handle it. It's also giving me a larger reason for my Rainbow Warrior mentorship program, and to assist in other neurotypicals and neurodivergent beings, because that is something I specialize with in my clients, with them being neurodivergent like myself, because I have been there and I understand which services are working. And to me, it does strike a nerve that there is a lot of time, energy, and research going into the attempt to prevent it, and not towards assisting the beings that have it. Because there are very limited, if any, services for adults with autism and neurodivergency. Whew. So that was a huge triumph. Another one was bonding with my daughter. Straight up bonding with my daughter. Us coming home and bonding in our environment and being on the same page. Absolutely so happy about that. 7:30 is when we settled down, and I did my Reiki thought of the day. Your breath is a powerful tool for calm. Now, it's asking me to mention when breathing was helpful in my life. I this is a tricky one because when I was born, so I have a very small trachea. Like, I do not choke on things because things don't fit. Like, that is how small my trachea is. I would not choke on an ice cube because it just wouldn't fit. That's also part of why I eat so slowly, because I have to chew first. I have to make sure my food is chewed so I can actually swallow it. But at birth, I've had to be in an oxygen chamber. And that's also, if you've been following my page, I do mention where I was able to, as my soul, as my higher self, see myself in this little incubation area. So there was a part of my soul that was very detached from this physical vessel right away. And throughout my life, needing a nebulizer and inhalers all the way in elementary school, drifted away from my nebulizer and really learning how to breathe in this body. So I didn't even need to be angry. I would get excited about something and have difficulty breathing. I would walk and have difficulty breathing. And I wasn't some obese child. Like, I was a regular weight child. I had difficulty breathing. And I had a lot of steroids when I was younger for breathing. But as I got older and around when I turned 12, I really got into yoga, and yoga has a lot to do with your breath. And there was a part of me that was over having to utilize steroids and nebulizers. I was over it, and I began learning about breath work. So my breathing became challenging right when I entered this realm. But after I mastered how to breathe accurately, it was around the time that I separated with my ex-husband that my breathing became noticeably gasping for air, and it was PTSD. So that's when I had to reel back my knowledge on yoga and breath work. And then I realized my breathing was being triggered by having my children with me all the time, to needing to share them and not having them, and having this separation anxiety, and also having professional therapists tell me how it wasn't normal to have my children be so attached to me and miss me. I know, and I still know till this day, that was incorrect. Thinking about all mammal species, there needs to be a bond. It's very important to bond with your children, and I'm very, very, very fortunate that I was able to bond with my youngest, because there was such a separation between us. And I am also not in that victimhood mindset. I know there was a purpose, because I'm able to help other people in those instances, but I am also aware of when something isn't right. I understand the spiritual lesson, but the human lesson, your child naturally craves that nurturing mother figure, like their mother. And both of my children, I breastfed both of them. So there was this like very intense bond. So to be separated, that caused a lot of PTSD and anxiety. So getting my breathing right to calm me during those moments was very, very, very important. And a lot of the time, I would later go back to either working all the time or drinking until it finally clicked to have my yoga routine in the morning, to have my breathwork routine, to meditate, and that really hit me my early 20s. So yeah. And I'm very grateful for my breath. I'm grateful that I don't depend on it. My breathing has become shallow because of the weight I have put on. Even during both of my pregnancies, I haven't been this physically heavy before. So that is a whole different aspect, because I went from a very physical lifestyle to a very, I am so blessed with the lifestyle that I have, that I don't have to do so much physical labor. But my physical body was so used to always doing physical labor, that going to a very still, mundane, easygoing career, it has tripped up my physical harmony. So now we're getting that back in order. That is my day. I really appreciate everyone that's been following. I love you guys. Thank you so much. If you are only wanting the Reiki highlights, check out the TikTok channel Galactic Wisdom Shower. I appreciate you guys. Bye.